So I'm in a hotel right now in LA for my first time in LA. I love it, but I actually don't have my at-home microphone set up. But I wanted to make sure that I recorded this thought and shared it with you. And this is a thought that I think there's like this obsession with perfection that some of us may have, and I think it can be a healthy obsession, because in today's society we have to essentially, in order to achieve and succeed, we have to be stratified to a certain degree, and we want to be at the top tier in order to basically get what we want and have a good life, essentially. But I think there's a misconception about the fact that if you're imperfect, that means that you're just not good enough, or that you're not great, or that you never will be great, or something like that. And I just disagree with that so much. And I think wholeheartedly, I've always disagreed with it. There's always been this level of disdain for people that maybe degrade or put down others for not having this or that, or not doing this or that perfectly, or not being dope enough and all that stuff. But, you know, one thing that continues to really, I think it's just a continuous thought within my stream of consciousness, is just around the aspect of communication, and how communication is such a stratification factor that it's almost unfair sometimes when it comes to certain environments. And I think, in a way, I don't think it's completely unfair. I think it's necessarily unfair at times. For instance, in the United States, it's probably useful for you to know English, just because a lot of people speak English in the United States. If you go to, I went to Mexico less than a couple months ago, and it was life-changing. It was beautiful, gorgeous place. But if I actually lived in Mexico, I should probably know a little Spanish just to get around, or if I wanted to make money, it's probably best for me to speak Spanish in Mexico. And of course, that those analogies can kind of go on and on, but I think that misconception around communication and being polished is like being the goal. And if you're not polished enough, then you're just not a good enough person. I think that outlook on life, I think it can be damaging. But if you don't let it control you, I think you can, in my opinion, this is exactly what I'm trying to work through, but I think you can kind of find yourself and find beauty in your own imperfection. So one person, so this has come to my attention as like a blaringly obvious thing, or glaringly obvious. Is it blaring or glaring? Anyway, it's an obvious thing now to me that a lot of successful people, let's just say billionaires, just for the sake of the gravity of the expression, plenty of billionaires don't speak perfectly. Take a listen to how Elon Musk speaks in this clip.
We have record high CO2 levels. We recently passed over 403 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. You can see the chart, and it looks like a vertical line, and it's still climbing. And the last time there was this level of carbon concentration was 11 million years ago. Okay, that was approximately when primates started walking upright. The world was very different. We do not want to return to that situation. And what that CO2 increase results in is a steadily increasing temperature. So we've already increased by 2 degrees.
Right? I mean, I think it's awesome. I think he stutters a little bit. He stammers just a little bit. But this is Elon Musk. I mean, the thing is, before he was quote unquote the Elon Musk, he was a guy that was building companies. Just like a lot of people that may be listening to this podcast, just like you, just like me, in terms of the operational, basically the level that he was in his career. I mean, he started from somewhere before he became this uber successful person. But even after all of that success, all of that fame, he still doesn't speak perfectly. And guess what? He's just fine. He's just fine. The next person, and the next example I have is just, it's incredibly important to me to mention this, because this person is somebody that I've always liked, I've always admired, but within recent months, because he's been a lot more visible in terms of doing podcast interviews and things like that, a person that I just idolize, and it's Floyd Mayweather. He's always been considered flashy, or somebody that just has a flamboyant lifestyle or even personality. But his discipline and his dedication to hard work is something that in his industry is practically unmatched. And that's why he's an undefeated champion of the world in multiple weight classes, which was exactly that's exactly what his goal was. His goal wasn't to be a perfect communicator, but his goal was to be incredibly wealthy. And he is. In some of his interviews, he mentions the fact that he is an avid real estate investor. We all know him as a boxer. It's one of the best boxers that will ever live. And he's made over $1 billion in boxing. But with real estate investing, he's able to do that without throwing a punch. And I love to say, when it comes to real estate or even financial services and things like that, like you can make money with the stroke of a pen. And of course it takes a lot more than just that. But he's mentioned that, and I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but he's mentioned that he makes $300 million a month from one of his properties. Now, I think that says a lot about the person that he is and what he's done and the hard work and dedication that he's put into his craft in order to be able to invest in a project like that, in order to be able to yield those types, that kind of return. But take a listen to the way that Floyd Money Mayweather speaks.
We want to be like Mayweather. It's not cool to take punishment. I got a little bump in the bruise, but it's okay. I know I made somewhere upwards of 70 million tonight, but it's okay. We live and we learn. And that's what I tell these guys all the time. I'm not perfect, but I try to be a perfectionist. And when I'm in a corner, even when my dad is giving me instructions, even if it's something I know that's not working, I'm not going to talk back. Because 50 laws of power. Never outshine the master. Show respect, and you'll get respect, and you will get respect. So it could be something that he see, but when I'm in it, I don't see it, or it's not working. But I'm not gonna go back and argue. You see over in the other corner, they argue and they have problems. Who he thought he was facing? He not facing no ordinary Joe. He facing the best. That's what comes with the territory. That's what I make happen. I knew that was gonna happen. And all I do is keep my composure. Under any circumstance, under anything in life, I just keep my composure. And say it's gonna be what it's gonna be. If tonight was his night, so be it. I still gonna be TPE. You know, he gained some fame from it. He made $4 million. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna open up some more doors for him. I'm glad that I was able to put him in that position to do that. And it don't matter what opponent I chose, it's still gonna be the same results. You guys, you remember I told you, I'm always putting a y'all. Cause all you guys, I mean, not just this fight. Y'all know I made y'all eat y'all words. Number 48, I made y'all eat y'all words. Never bet against me. Never bet against me.
Oh man, like I love the way that he speaks. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, I love the way that he speaks, because especially when he's doing like a press conference or something like that, because he is incredibly measured. He is thoughtful. Sometimes he might stutter a little bit. He might stammer just a little bit. He might pause. And the thing is, I love the fact that he takes his time and he speaks a lot of times. I just really appreciate his communication style, because it's a format for me to say, okay, Robert, you might not be a perfect communicator, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That doesn't mean that you are terrible at your job. That really means that you just don't speak perfectly all the time. But I think it's important to try to offset. I think it's important to try to learn who you are and be honest with yourself about where you are in life based on the skills that you have. For instance, in a corporate environment, communication skills is a thing. I mean, Floyd Mayweather doesn't have to have the communication skills of, let's just say, a CEO of a publicly traded company. He doesn't. But if his goal is to make money like one, then nothing else really matters, because his priorities are in check. He knows who he is. He knows what his goals are, and he's hitting the marks every single time. So I said all that to say this. Polished does not mean perfection. And if this message resonates with you, I just hope that you can find solace in identifying exactly who you are, because I think that's a part of what everybody's trying to do. And these two examples, Floyd Mayweather and Elon Musk, those two people are examples that polished does not mean perfect, and you can do it too, whatever that it is. Before we go, let's go ahead and take a deep breath of gratitude. We're still in the game. Well, until next time, thank you so much for listening to the Robert Woods Podcast. Let's keep pushing. Let's boss up. Let's keep going. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.